This is the Yankees POSTCAST, your instant game reaction for the New York Yankees. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, this afternoon, a George Springer Grand Slam does in the Yankees. It just so happened to be on Canada Day in Toronto. Blue Jays beat the Yankees 12-5. Now, Max Fried, not nearly as good as he has been of late, and obviously the bullpen wasn't much better today. And because of the loss, believe it or not, the Yanks lead the Blue Jays by one single game in the American League East. Boy, have things tightened up. Hello, everybody. I'm Jay Berman. If you're a New Yorker, you might recognize my work. I've spent more than 2 decades in the biz, everything from TV to web to radio. Again, glad to have you aboard. Please follow me on X as well, at Jay Berman, Jayberman. Welcome to the Locked On Yankees postcast, both on the Locked On Yankees YouTube channel and the Locked On Yankees podcast feed. The postcast, which is this, gives you a place to chat after every game. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. We're about to get going. Before we do, let's let you know that today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins.
This is what you'll be talking about.
All right, it was an ugly first night of a 4-game series last night for the Yankees. More of the same today. As we said, they lose 12-5. 3 crooked numbers for Toronto. 4 in the 4th, 5 in the 7th, 3 in the 8th. That's all there was for the Blue Jays. And again, they went at 12-5. Yanks actually out-hit Toronto 9-8, but obviously George Springer was batty today. 3 for 4, 2 home runs, including the grand slam, 7 RBIs. 7 RBIs. That's a career high. All right, as we said, Max Fried got things rolling for the Yankees, but lasted just 6 through 99 pitches, allowed 4 earned runs, the second most runs he's allowed this season. If you recall, he allowed 6 earned runs against the Dodgers in LA, May 30th. So again, just twice this season has he allowed more than 3 earned runs in a game. Tonight was the second time. And again, he allowed 4 earned runs. All right, as we told you last night, the Yanks have struggled against the American League East. More of the same today, obviously. And as we said at the top, now the Blue Jays and Rays, for that matter, are tied 1 game back of the Yankees in the division. Just for some perspective, Yanks, and there's throwing a lot of numbers at you, so bear with me. Yanks are 10-14 against AL East opponents this season, 38-23 against everyone else, so you can bet the Yanks are happy to get out of Toronto in a couple of days. They were 13-14 in June. Now, the significance of that is, 1, it's not June anymore, but 2, on June 1st, exactly a month ago, the Yanks were 5.5 up on the Rays and Jays. That lead has shrank now down to one skinny game, and the Blue Jays still have 2 games left for a chance to overtake the Yankees at the top of the division. Also worthy of note, the Yanks have been in first place since April 14th. Now, they still are in first place, and they can easily get one of these 2 games, if not both. But the opportunity for Toronto is there to overtake the Yankees. And, of course, it's early July. Who cares? But point is, at one point, if not multiple points of this season, you figured the division was over. At one stretch, the Yankees had a 7-game lead. Well, that's gone. Most of it is gone. And again, the Yanks, who have been in first place since mid-April, are staring at a tie in the division if they don't start winning ball games. All right. As we talked about, 3 huge innings for the Blue Jays. We'll start in the 4th inning. A huge Jazz Chisholm Jr. error. What else is new? More fundamental mistakes from the Yankees. That leads to an Andres Jimenez 3-run shot. It turned a 1-run game, or at least a 2-1 game, a 1-run game, into a 4-2 lead for Toronto. And it was a shot to dead central, 406 feet. So the huge Jazz error allows the inning to continue. It was a throwing error. And Jimenez cashes in a 3-run shot. Now, we move to the bottom of the 7th, and that's where things got real ugly for the Yankees. 2 on, 1 out. It appears to be strike 3 on Addison Barger. But there was catcher's interference on J.C. Escarra, which, by the way, needs to be mentioned, his 3rd catcher's interference of the season. Victor Caratini for Houston also has 3, by far the most in baseball. Anyways, it goes from 2 on, 2 out to bases loaded and 1 out. Of course, because of the catcher's interference, which is an error. 2 batters later, the Springer grand slam. Believe it or not, his 9th career grand slam. When I saw that stat, I couldn't believe it. So anyways, we got the Jimenez home run after the Jazz error in the 4th. Technically, the Escarra error in the 7th leads to the Springer grand slam, the 9th of his career. As we said, he had 2 home runs and a career-high 7 RBIs, so they couldn't get him out. As for that grand slam, Luke Weaver, the first grand slam he's allowed as a Yankee, but he's now allowed 4 home runs this year and 2 since coming off the IL. So, again, the bullpen wasn't great today either. 2 runs allowed for Mark Leiter Jr., 2 runs allowed for Luke Weaver. Jeff Hartley, the newest Yankee, allowed 3 earned runs. Now, JT Brubaker came in to get the final out in the bottom of the 8th inning. But again, at that point, the damage had been done. 2 hits apiece for both Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge. In fact, Judge, 2 hits and 3 walks, was on base 5 times today. His on-base percentage now at .466. And of course, several of those walks of the intentional variety. And it would have worked if not for poor Toronto defense as well. To be fair to both these teams, these 2 games have been ugly. And again, that's being fair. Horrible defense on both sides. The Yanks in the 5th had a chance to get back into it. 2 on, nobody out, failed to score. Stanton, Dominguez, and Volpe, 1, 2, 3. Now, Yanks in the 7th, 2 on, nobody out. This time they cash in. Back-to-back Toronto errors. So again, teams trading errors. That allowed the Yankees to tie the game at 4 after scoring those 2 runs in the 7th. Could have been more. Yanks couldn't get a clutch hit. Speaking of, Yanks were 2 for 17 with runners in scoring position and left 11 men on base. To give you a little perspective on that, 5 hits for the Blue Jays with runners in scoring position. 5. And the Yanks had just 1. Yanks certainly had plenty more opportunities than the Blue Jays did as well. Jasson Dominguez back in there after the fans wanted him to play every day. Well, he did have a hit today. He drove in 3. So he's obviously getting the job done. A 2-run single in the 1st actually gave the Yankees the lead. He would drive in a run later on as well. But again, Dominguez drives in 3. Giancarlo Stanton, the other RBI for the Yankees. As we said, Max Fried, 6 innings, 3 hits, 4 earned, 2 walks, 2 Ks, only 2 Ks, and allowed 2 home runs. The first, the solo shot to Springer, and then the 3-run shot in the 4th to Andres Jimenez, who again, a light hitting, 200 hitting Andres Jimenez hits a bomb of a home run off Max Fried at that point. Now look, the Yankees will get back into it. It just felt like the Yanks were on the short end the entire game, even despite the 2-0 lead in the very first inning with Max Fried on the mound. It just sort of started to slowly crumble. And you just had a bad feeling about it. And then when Springer gets hot, believe it or not, he came up in the 8th with the bases loaded again. That's when he had the 2-run single. But would have been something to see if he hit another grand slam. Regardless, the Yanks are now just one game above the Rays and the Blue Jays in the American League East. Yanks now just 11 games over 500 at 48-37. The Blue Jays are 47-38. As we said, just one game back. All right, we have to get an update on Trent Grisham, and we'll do probables for the rest of the series. All right, ever wish managing your money felt easier? Well, with Monarch Money, it can. Whether you're growing your savings or planning a big purchase, Monarch puts you in the driver's seat. It's like having your own personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money is more than a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So in addition to managing your money, you're also building your wealth. If you've ever wished you had all your accounts and spending in one place, Monarch Money is for you. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONMLB at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use code LOCKEDONMLB for half off your very first year. Next up is FanDuel. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to help you make every game even more exciting. You're already following the action. Why not make it a little bit more thrilling? With FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned at the beach. I've been using FanDuel to track my favorite matchups, and the app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. It's easy to use, fast to pay out, and makes even regular season games feel like must-watch events. Whether I'm placing a same-game parlay or watching a bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel makes it feel like I'm part of the action. New to FanDuel? Well, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, you know what time it is. Here we go.
This is the Locked On Player of the Game.
All right, again, we try to give it to Yankees, but can't tonight. Instead, it goes to George Springer, who, as we said, had a career-high 7 RBIs, a solo shot, and a grand slam. The grand slam put this one out of reach. Before the grand slam, it was 5-4 Blue Jays. After, it was 9-4 Blue Jays. And at that point, you figured it was comfortably over. They'd add 3 more runs the next frame. And again, Springer had a heck of a day. As we said, his 9th career grand slam. And the first grand slam Luke Weaver has given up as a Yankee, the 4th home run he's allowed this year. So what's interesting about Luke Weaver is we were wondering what would happen when Weaver returned to the 9th inning role. Well, Devin Williams went back into the role when Weaver went down and has not looked back. Meanwhile, Weaver, since returning, hasn't been great, so it's made the decision even easier. Problem is, we liked Weaver in the 7th and 8th inning when he was pitching well. Well, he's not pitching well now, so that's going to hurt. Anyways, Kevin Gausman, by the way, got the start for Toronto, 5 innings, 2 earned. He also threw 99 pitches, doesn't figure in the decision. Mark Leiter Jr. takes the loss. Again, the Yankees lose it 12-5. Trent Grisham took part in a pregame workout, both in the field and at the cage. No IL likely. So that's great news. Of course, he left the game last night with left hamstring tightness. So it's once again good to see him back. All right, let's check some comments here. We'll start with ArcLight44. DJ and Stanton are finished. Volpe, Wells, and Ascar look like they belong in AAA, not the Bronx. This all falls squarely on Cashman and his disastrous roster overhaul. You can understand the angst amongst Yankee fans when they're being beaten rather easily by a team or teams they think are inferior to the Yankees. Well, now they're all pretty close and pretty tight. One more quote from It's Over. Someone needs to hold Volpe accountable in the clubhouse, challenge him to step up, not just wear the pinstripes, but to live up to them. Enough of the kid gloves. All right, so some interesting takes there from ArcLight44, and It's Over. All right, as for the pitching matchups coming up, the final two games the Yankees really need. Will Warren, Jose Berrios on Wednesday, Clark Schmidt, Chris Bassett on Thursday. And again, the Yanks could technically, if they lose these next two games, not be in first place anymore, which would be quite remarkable, again, after a 12-5 loss. Thanks for making Locked On Yankees your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the all-new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night on Locked On MLB on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. Also want to mention our partners in crime at Locked On Yankees, Stacey Gotsulias and Brian McKeon. Again, they handle all the stuff at Locked On Yanks. They're the best, so follow, subscribe, and enjoy. Again, 12-5, the final score. 2 more with Toronto, 3 at Citi Field, 3 at the stadium against Seattle, then 3 at the stadium against Chicago, and that's it. That's the completion of the unofficial first half of the season. As we said, 3 more series to go, including the Toronto 2 games, Mets, Mariners, and the Cubs. Best part about that is the Yanks get to spend the next week and a half in their own beds because obviously in New York, they still get to live at home. So, again, 3 with the Mets, 3 with the Mariners, and 3 with the Cubs. Tomorrow night, it is a prime game. And again, the pitching matchup, Will Warren, Jose Berrios, should be interesting. 12-5, the final score today. Yanks lead the Jays and Rays by a single game. We'll see you tomorrow night. Have a great night tonight, everyone.